Alright, so I have both my limbs now constructed, and I've got my nuts and bolt here tightened down, but not too much so it still spins. Now I'm going to show you the alternative way. So if you didn't have a bolt, you just had a piece of metal rod that you put through, something like that, and you want to find a way to secure it. One way I like to do is I always keep some of this in my bag. I keep this in my car, for my truck, for my Jeep. I've used this a few times to make some quick fixes on my Jeep to get me home. So I always keep it around, and what you're going to do is you're just going to cut a little sliver off. The rest of it, just go ahead and put it back in there. Save it for later. Now you're going to take the wrapping off, and then also the little foil end. Now if you can get your hands wet, if you have some water around, it's going to help because it's going to make it so this stuff doesn't stick to your skin. If you can wear latex gloves, that's best because there's chemicals in your epoxy and all that, but I've just been using this stuff for a while and I hate using it with gloves because I don't like it, so I'm going to be bad and not do it that way. So you want to just kind of start smushing it together, and you're going to see the black and the gray, or whatever it is. Sometimes they use blue and white. Whatever the colors are, just mix it until they're fully mixed. You don't want to see any swirls or streaks. You just want one solid color. This is going to be a kind of a dark gray. And just really keep mushing it and splitting it, and really make sure it's all evenly done through. And see, if my fingers were wet, this residue wouldn't be sticking to them as much. As it absorbs the heat, this is an epoxy base, so heat's going to make it actually kick off a little bit faster. And when I say kick off, that's a term we use in the special effects industry for when a chemical reaction starts. So as this kicks off, you're going to feel it start getting warm in your hand, and you're not going to want to hold it the whole time because it will eventually kind of get too warm. And some of the more higher industrial grade versions of this can actually burn you because the chemical reaction creates so much heat. And we're just going to put a little bit around the end of the bolt, and it's kind of hard to get it to stick at first because it wants to keep sticking to your skin, and that's where that water comes in handy. This is where, if you're working with latex gloves, you're going to start cussing and everything because it's going to keep sticking to the latex glove no matter what as you pull away. So we're just going to kind of mash a good size amount around there, and you want to make sure you really squeeze it so that way the teeth of the threaded bolt kind of act as little grips to hold that on there once it dries. And you're just going to set that aside and let the epoxy kick off and fully cure. And once that fully cures, you're going to have a pretty strong bond. This stuff is rated to go up a couple thousand psi's of pressure before breaking. It's got steel and metal reinforcement mixed in with the epoxy to give it a little bit more strength. So that's another easy way as an alternative to attach things to your limbs if you don't have nuts and bolts running around. So what I did is I just kind of stuck my drill down and just kind of hit it real fast so that way I could get the little pilot hole marked. And then what I did is I lined it up afterwards and just looked down through the hole through the pipe to make sure the marks line up. Because I wasn't clamping it, I just kind of held it in place so I had a chance of maybe moving off and me marking it in the wrong place. So I'm going to go ahead and just drill those down. So I got my 2 screws. I'll go ahead and drive. So I just got one in. Now I'm going to get my other one. So there we have our first limb attached to our riser. Now I'm going to go ahead and pilot the next two holes and put our others. So we have 4 screws in there, so it's really nice and secure. I'll grab my other 2 screws. Just go ahead and knock all the debris out that tube there. So there we go. Pilot drill went a little too far in, but the screws didn't. So now I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side. So we have our 2 limbs ready to go. And then we'll be able to ready to move on to the next few steps. So it's starting to take form. You've got your riser and your limbs attached now. You can start to see how it's looking like a compound bow. So I'm going to take my 2 8-inch sections of the pipe left over, and I'm going to use 2 zip ties on each end just to attach it.